Good evening, everyone. Looks like we have a lot of the usual suspects here. Welcome. I see a very happy name there, Wolverine3660, who's joining us this evening. Hope you're doing a lot better. Nice to see you. Hello, Judy, Evan, Simon, Jim, Gino, my man Gino, fellow Massachusetts person. Always a pleasure. So, wanted to say hello, good evening on this Wednesday night after an election season, which is always very exciting. The the other thing I want to say is welcome to the channel. We have memberships available. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, you can join and get behind the scenes and see what's going on in the background. A lot of exciting stuff, a lot of really talented people back there, a lot of great conversations. I've been doing a lot of interesting stuff back there, like reading journal entries, which is a lot of fun. Sometimes I get very risky and I just sort of flip some pages in an old journal and read, and you never know what's going to come up. It could be embarrassing for me, which makes it that much more exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about journaling tonight and a few other things. Figured we'll do more of a straightforward show this evening. We're going to talk about journaling, as I said. We're going to talk about some Christmas gift pens. I just put up a video that is on a gift buyer's guide, which works for any gift, but it especially works well for Christmas. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a bit about inks and some of the things that are coming up on the channel. So stay tuned. One of the things I want to bring up is I hope you guys saw the interview with Brian Holzer from last week. We had a fantastic conversation, and I kind of wish more people had seen it. So I hope that you guys search for it and you seek it out, because Brian really went into depth on Esterbrook and where it's been and where it's going. And he revealed some secrets, some upcoming exciting products, and everything else. So, very exciting, very good interview. He's a wonderful guy. So, do search for that in my video stream, if you will. So, I'm going to ask for some audience participation on this one since we don't have a guest this evening. So, what I want to talk about are some dream pens. And more specifically, as you're thinking ahead in the next, month and a half before Christmas, which, by the way, how much does that blow your mind? I think Thanksgiving's 2 weeks away. I think it's time to start thinking about getting a tree. I don't know about you guys, but we are a real tree family here. I live at the edge of the woods. It would just be weird if I had some artificial silver tree, but I cast no dispersions. I see a certain amount of ease if you could just throw a tarp over it and put it in the attic for a year. So nothing wrong with that. But we do get a real tree. We decorate it. Of course, my daughter is very, very, very active here. So it should be good stuff. With Christmas coming up. So one of the things I'm thinking is, which pens, guys? What's on your lists? What are you guys thinking about for Christmas this year? And I'll go first. I am really, and you guys know I'm trying to be anti-materialistic, and it's one of the things I fight on this channel, because part of reviewing pens and showing the romance of pens is that I have to show you pens, and I have to show you different pens. Of course, reviewing pens, I get free pens, so pens are always coming in. So I am really desirous, if you will, of a Visconti Homo sapiens. I don't have one, and I just am fascinated by the resin mixed with lava, and I am really tempted. So I think that's at the top of my list. It's a pricey pen. I do hear some, you know, criticisms that the nibs can be inconsistent. And were I to get one, I think I would ask whomever sends it. It would probably be Brendan from Atlas Stationers because I pretty much go to him for everything. I would ask that he checks it out and make sure, but I think they took care of that, the quality control. I see Patrick Blindeman, who is one of my members, lovely, lovely fellow, has the Bronze Age Lava Fantastic. He loves it, which would really be an exciting pen. And then, guys, I could do all kinds of content on this channel. I could compare it with the Cartier Diablo. I could compare it with the Montblanc 149. I could have a lot of fun with that. So that's part of one of the appeals to me now, is how much it would add to the conversation. So it sort of blunts the materialism a bit because I can express myself with it too. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that's what I'm thinking. Now I see some others. Ben Joe is getting a blue Estie. Is that the Nouveau blue? I have trouble with that. That is one of my favorite pens. In fact, Ben Joe, stay tuned to this channel because I just did a review on the Estie Flex nib, and it's going to air. I'm trying to remember which order. I should have checked before because I could have promoted it. But a new video is going up tomorrow at noon. It may be that one, but I honestly don't remember. So maybe if I get a minute, I'll try to check subtly. But so stay tuned to this channel because you're going to see it, and it's a very beautiful pen. You're going to see it in sunlight. And here's the fun part. Have you guys noticed that I've been trying to make my pen reviews interesting and compelling for several reasons? They're not just pen reviews. I usually try to tie them into something else, something interesting, something sort of, you know, I don't want to say eternal. What am I trying to say? Like, you know, from one thing, there's many, right? So from a pen, you can extrapolate everything. And I just try to bring as much romance and history to the reviews as I possibly can. So what I did was I took this one with me on a trip to Newport, Rhode Island. So it's got a lot of beautiful seaside scenery, some real nice shops and English shops, and in the town a bit and in the parks. And it was a really lovely day. So the Esterbrook Estie looks amazing. So do stay tuned for that if you would. Ooh, Evan Otto is looking at the Ferris wheel press brush pen. That's an interesting choice, I'll have to say. I am a big fan of that pen. I think it's underrated. It's one of the most beautiful rendered pens. The satin finish on mine is exquisite. And the grip section is so cool. It has sort of a sextant on it, or something similar. It looks like that. I'm going off of memory, but I know it's very beautiful and etched, and then it goes into the brush, and it's just really, really lovely. So that's a great pen and an excellent choice. And we did a review of that a few months back. And that was fun. I snuck some of my artwork in that review. Once again, I'm trying to tie it in with other things. And what we do in this family is we have family art day. And my daughter usually does a painting, and my wife will do, she does, I don't know what it's called. It's like embroidery, I think. And then I will try to bust out a quick watercolor or something. But you only get about a half hour. So it's the attention span of my 5-year-old. And that makes it so fun and such a great family activity. So I totally recommend it. Just family art day, like bust something out until you're 5-year-old gets bored. So I did some of these paintings. In fact, you can see one. Oh, it's always weird. I got to go that way. There we go. There's the tip of one right there. So I used them as backdrops. I used the palettes as backdrop just because it's a brush pen. So I worked it in with the watercolor paintings. So when you watch it, critique my paintings too. Why don't you? I really don't mind. I have very thick skin, and they're not that great, but they're fun. They're really, really lovely. Oh, Wolverine also would love to get an Esterbrook Esty in the oversized version. Wonderful, wonderful pens. The oversized feels really comfortable in the hand. I quite like that about it. It's got a nice sense of balance. The only thing I would caution, and I would add that with the Ferris wheel brush pen as well, neither of those should be posted. The oversized Esty cannot be posted, but the Ferris wheel brush pen should not be posted because you can scratch it. So a couple times I took it off and I went to slide, because you want to slide it down on that slender barrel, if you will. But I caught myself before I did. So just be mindful of that with that pen. And with the Esterbrook, you cannot post. So just keep that in mind. But if you already have an Esty, I think it's great to have an oversize. Sometimes you want a bit more matter in your hand, and it's got a different balance, and it's really lovely, and it's perfect with the flex because you have nice leverage, and it has a bit more of its own weight, because I try to write with the weight of the pen, and I sort of steer with my fingers, and I allow sort of the weight of the pen to draw the line, because I learned very early not to press very hard. My first fountain pen, I'm not embarrassed to admit, I snapped it in half. So if you haven't done that, you have that over me. So that's an experience in this hobby I have, and I wish I did not have. I wish I still had that pen. I actually do still have it. It's in a box somewhere in pieces. So one day when I'm cleaning up, I'll find it and I'll reveal it to you guys. So that's a fantastic choice. Absolutely choice. Kaylee is commenting on the Visconti Homo sapiens, and she says, if you get one, hope it's a good one. There are some QC issues. Kaylee, that was my concern, and I was saying that earlier, that I'm a bit worried that it would be good. It has to be good, of course. But what I would do is, and I think anybody could do this, just call Brendan at Atlas Stationers and ask him to check it out before he sends it, because I'm sure he would. He's a lovely fellow, and I'm sure he would do that. James Fahey with an excellent comment. My dream pen is probably the Montblanc 149 because it's iconic and I don't have it. Isn't that the reason? You get so curious and it's iconic and you don't have it. So you're like, I must have it. I'm with you there, my friend. I'm interested in Namikis and other Pilot Urishi offerings, but I wonder how much better the nib is than an 823. Yeah, and I can't comment specifically. One of my vows to you guys always is I always qualify something if I haven't done it, or I don't pass an opinion. So in this instance, I've never written with a Pilot Urishi, so I don't know what those nibs are like. I'm sure they're awesome, but can anyone be better than an 823? I mean, you could argue that the 149 and the 823 are on the same level. So I've always said this, I'll say it a lot, you guys are going to hear it forever, but if you own the Pilot Custom 823, you can buy other pens, but you really don't have to. That pen is so perfect. Now, if only they'd put a ring around the cap. That's my constant detraction of that pen. I wish they would do that. I worry about it falling and chipping. So that is my one thing. Gino, I got to put this comment up in 2 parts, buddy, because you split it. So Gino, my dream pen is a vintage Waterman. That That's a tough one, and I'm with you because I have a Waterman 52.5 that is the most exquisite flex nib that I've ever written with, bar none. It's like a paintbrush. It it wobbles back and forth. It has tremendous line variation. It is a joy to write with. It's quite slender. It's a lever fill. It's made out of hardened rubber and it has that grain pattern and it's about 100 years old. It's absolutely brilliant. I love to journal with it, especially in a small journal, because it's really easy to draw spectacular script and do it small with that nib. I believe it's technically supposed to be a medium, but I'm telling you guys, it writes like a fine. It goes from fine to broad, and it's absolutely brilliant. So, what's my next step then? So from that, I'm like, well, the 52.5 has one huge downfall, and that's that it's so slender. It only holds about enough ink for like 2 pages of writing. And the reason is it's 100 years old, and you'd have this sitting on your desk 100 years ago. So you didn't mind running out of ink that much. You would just plop it in there. I have J-Herbon Sapphire in here if anybody's curious. And I'm being very careful because I don't want to wear this. My wife just got me this cool sweatshirt. And I don't wear sweatshirts, guys. Like, I just don't. But evidently I do now. Because look at this cool graphic. How great is this? Isn't that the coolest sweatshirt you've ever seen? So my wife got that for me. I'm really happy. I just feel like it looks a little nicer than just like a regular sweatshirt. But I'm always got to be somewhat presentable. But so it's like 2 pages and you're out. In one sense, it's good because you can try a lot of inks. In another sense, it's bad because you're writing and then it's like, oh man, it's out. Especially if you're flexing a lot, then it's sooner. So a 52 would be perfect, but you have to trust the descriptions. I'm a big shopper at Peyton Street Pens for vintage pens. I love the way they describe things. They're very quick in their shipping. They're just fun to shop there. But, you know, sometimes it's a semi-flex or a firm flex or a has some flex. You want like full-on floppy flex, and you're going to pay a lot of money for that. Probably in nice condition, $600-700. So it had better be right. But man, you know, that nib, you guys, so good. So allow me to wax poetic about that for a bit, okay? Simon, my friend. So Simon is a Burgundy Mont Blanc 146. You know, I would really love a Burgundy one too. I am so sick of black and gold pens. They are so kind of boring, and it's a shame that Mont Blanc doesn't come in more colors. If they made a yellow one, I'd probably love it. So I'm right there with you. And by the way, I really appreciate the size of the 146. The 149, as you guys know, is very thick and girthy, but still quite light. And still a brilliant pen with a fantastically large nib that's super fun to write with. But the 146 really feels good in your hand. So I go back and forth. And I write a lot with my 146. As much as I've criticized it and I've made my disappointment with it abundantly clear in this channel, it's still pretty wonderful, you guys. It really is. And as I'm starting to learn a little bit more calligraphy and my handwriting's getting a little bit better, I hope you guys notice. Sometimes it's bad. Sometimes the limitations of filming make my handwriting bad. I still haven't quite figured out my setup where my hand's not in the way of something. I mean, even now I'm kind of talking around this mic. So if I'm talking while I'm writing or something, I'd have to be way out. Or there's always like a tripod. I know I'm making excuses, but I think my handwriting's getting a little better. Hopefully you guys agree. So definitely good stuff. Oh, Benjo Markland just became a member. Thank you very much. Happy to have you. I think you're going to enjoy being behind the curtain. Membership has its privileges. I try to put a lot of stuff up back there. And one of the cool things about the members, I think it's cool, is that I use you guys to sound off opinions. That when I'm trying to decide something, I'll put it back there. And I'm a very transparent guy. I really rely on other people's opinions. So you really do become a producer of this channel and you help bring it to everyone each week. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Wolf is here. Hello. Always nice to see you. Have met you in person, and now I think we're on almost every social media platform together. So fantastic. Fountain pen enthusiast. Just put up some interesting pictures of journals that were like stuffed with stuff today on Instagram. So everyone follow Wolf over on Instagram. Really good posts over there. So James Fahey, how are you, sir? Another peek behind the curtain person. I have no issues with my Visconti, but I would try before you buy. Why don't I go to Apple Boom in Boston? That is a possibility, but the only thing is, James, I tend to buy from people I know. And I just don't know those guys. I used to go to Bromfield all the time and have my pens fixed, and they all seem real nice. I saw them at the Commonwealth Pen Show, but I just don't know them. So I'm not against it. But Brendan, he's like a personal friend of mine, so which might be a good time to say that November 15th, next Tuesday, we will have Brendan from Atlas Stationers as our special guest, and we're going to talk pens. So it's going to be open, just two guys talking about pens. And we'll ask him a lot of questions about the retail side of selling fountain pens, his own personal collection, which is very nice, very well curated, and whatever else comes up, because he's a lovely guy. He's got a fantastic social media presence. He's all over TikTok, and just a really, really brilliant fellow. So that'll be fun. So that's next Tuesday. Put that on your calendars for Brendan and I, which is really, really great. So Kaylee has her eye on a vintage Namiki Impressions. Ooh, very nice. Very, very nice. So, good stuff. Ooh, Ben Joe, I gotta put this up. I'm putting too many comments up, so forgive me. I've been sporting an Esterbrook J blue from the late 40s. I want to go that way. The Esterbrook J's are a lot of fun from that time period. I have at least 4. What's really cool about them is that you can unscrew the nibs and screw in new nibs. I think I put it away. For the longest time, I had one of the flex nibs here, but I put it away. The new Esterbrooks they don't come. You can order an MV adapter so that you can use your vintage Esterbrook J nibs in the new Esterbrook, which is super fun. That's something we learned last week when Brian Holzer was here. So very, very cool. So I see a lot of typewriter comments. Wolverine has a Royal Quiet Deluxe, one of my favorites. You guys can't see it, but in my line of sight, I have a sky blue Royal Quiet Deluxe right there. And then I have a Torpedo from the late 50s, early 60s. The Quiet Deluxe has Elite. The Torpedo has a cursive font, which is just brilliant. Typeface. It's really a typeface. It's not a font. So I should do some more content on typewriters. I haven't for a while. Wrong side again. This is a brilliant machine. I have another Royal P like this that's sand colored, that has a typeface called Royal Modern, which is a Art Deco typeface. If you can imagine the typeface that's in the Empire State Building, or one that Zelda Fitzgerald might invite you for a few cocktails, would write it. That's the typeface. It's absolutely brilliant. And then I have another one in that way. Sorry, that way in black. It's weird. This is reverse, so forgive me. I'm like failing the cognitive test with the lens. But so I love Royal Peas. I have a collection of about 14 or so typewriters. I cut myself off. I'm only going to buy interesting machines now with interesting typefaces. And I do have like RoboFont by Hermes, Hermes, I believe it's pronounced in the typewriter world. And I have a couple of cursive machines. The Torpedo, as I said, I have an Olympia cursive. And then I have a really cool Lettera 22 that is in the box. So it's the Ripley, the Tom Ripley typewriter. And I have it in all the original box and papers. It was brand new when I bought it. Not in the 1950s. It sat in a closet for like 70 years, but I've found it for about 10 years now. So very cool. All right, I went off on a tangent. So let me see where we are. Let me see. Oh, okay. So Brett Cody's here. He said he would love a Pelican Cafe Creme. That sounds amazing. Pelicans are some of my favorite pens, except that the M200 has a Houdini-like ability to shed its cap. So, as you guys know, I've been publishing fountain pen reviews in article form at Stridewise. And that's stridewise.com. I encourage you all to follow him if you're into like Red Wing boots and different heritage wear. His whole site's dedicated to that. Lovely guy named Nick does great reviews. So he's about to publish my review of the M200. We did a video a while back, so this goes with that video. But man, I was using it yesterday. I had a brand new sweater on from Cordings of Piccadilly, and it's a sweater vest. I had a Tattersall shirt underneath. I'm not kidding you. That pen wiggled out of its cap. So it has two cap issues. If you clip it to your shirt, it wiggles out of the cap, and then it'll press against you, and you'll get an ink blotch, and it'll ruin your clothes. It loves to do that, and then it laughs at you and dares you to throw it away because you can't. It's a fantastic pen. The other cap issue it has is if you post it, it forms this like weird vacuum, and it's very difficult to unpost it. So it's the cap is a problem with that pen. But it is ringed with metal, so it's protective, which is my other contention on the E23. So very, very, very interesting. So James Fahey says, unfortunately, monetary policy has put a brake on my pen activity. I suppose that's what it's intended to do. Indeed, but usually that affects the cost of borrowing. So I hope you're not borrowing to purchase your pens, like mortgaging your house. Some pens, it seems like you need a mortgage on your house, but it's not a bad idea to enjoy what you have. One of the things that I say as a banker to people when they're like, oh, should I get a new car? Should I get this? I'm like, you know what the best car is? The car you own. That's the best car in the world. People say to me sometimes, like, people have this kind of impression of me sometimes that I'm like really posh, and I'm really not. I mean, I have very particular taste. So, but I am not at all interested in impressing anybody with anything. I'm just sure of who I am, happy with who I am, and going on my merry way, right? But so a lot of people will say, like, what do you drive? Like a Range Rover or a BMW or something? And I'm like, no, I drive a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee with 140,000 miles. I've had it since then. So, but I own it and it runs great. and I love it. I've been driving Jeeps since the 90s. I had the boxy Cherokees, I've had Wranglers, I've had um, 3 or 4 Grand Cherokees. So I'm just not that interested in impressing anyone. So my point is, my wife has a cool car. So my point is, make sure your wife has a cool thing, and then you won't want a cool thing for yourself. That's my point. Patrick, what's Patrick have to say? Patrick says, I recently have an LMO02 great pen also. One is coming, the Mia Cityscape Beautiful and Smooth Wet Writers. You know, smooth wet writers are now kind of my new obsession over flex. For a while I was pursuing this idea of flex. Now I'm really into smooth, and smooth is usually accompanied by a very generous ink flow where you put down a cushion of ink that lubricates the nib as it slides across the paper, and you're able to do just magnificent things. My Sheaffer Legacy is one of those pens. Incredible gold nib that's inset, that's very smooth, very wet. The downside is you have to wait a few seconds before you turn the page. That's the only downside. Kind of a big deal, I guess, but I don't mind. It's such a joy to write with. So, very good stuff. Oh, here, this is interesting. Jim Carrigan, how are you, my friend? He's going to order an 823 till my show last week. He ordered an SD Mally. Should have it by Friday. Now I'm rethinking, may go to Mont Blanc. Well, the Mally is a brilliant pen. It's so lovely, so pretty. Has an incredible nib. It's a lot of fun to write with. So you made a good choice. But I'm not sure if you're saying you're choosing between the 823 and a Mont Blanc, or if you would not get the Esterbrook and get one. But I mean, I look at it this way: whatever pen you get, you may as well hold on to it because you're going to get it anyway, and then you're going to get the other one. So, you know. Matt W. with an interesting comment. Has anyone tried the Pelikan M1000? I'm tempted after my M600. I have not tried it. I haven't seen one yet. I went looking for one at the Commonwealth Pen Show, and I couldn't find one because I really wanted to try it. So I have not, but I would love to. I really like Pelikans. So Wolf wants the Mont Blanc 34 in Burgundy. Once again, the Burgundy. You know, they briefly made the 149 in Burgundy. I'd like to get my hands on that. I believe they did. Maybe I'm getting confused with the 146. But, top tier pens. CJ Bauer, my Christmas list includes the Pilot 912 with the FA nib and the Pinheider La Grande Bellezza with the extra fine quill nib. The latter pen I have. I don't have a Pilot 912. Or no. But I do have the Pinheider La Grande Bellezza with the quill nib. And that quill nib is really interesting. It feels like a vintage nib. It feels like a Waterman 52 and a half. There's another pen that does too. You guys know what it is? It's the Mont Blanc Egyptomania. That feels like a Waterman 52 and a half. But the difference with both those, the Pinheider and the Egyptomania, they don't have the flex. They have the feel and they have the comfort, but they don't have the flex, which is a shame. You almost feel like they have the technical ability to duplicate that nib, but they just haven't. I think they're holding out on us. So really, really great comments there. So good stuff. So James Fahey, this is a good question. Okay. And I haven't seen it, so I can only give thoughts. So thoughts on the Jimi Hendrix Mont Blanc. Guitar plus fountain pen sounds like me. I find it a bit gauche and overpriced. James, I kind of do too. And I don't know. I just don't think of. I mean, I love Hendrix. I didn't know him personally. Maybe he did write with a fountain pen. Who knows? But it's kind of just not what I think of when I think of Hendrix. And it's like, it's just interesting how they tie different things in. But, you know, for a person to have a tribute to, I mean, Hendrix is such a great artist as a guitarist. Like, I don't think people understand how influential he was and what like kind of a kind, beautiful soul he was from everything that I've seen. Because you see some of the other rock stars, like, Jim Morrison has his excesses. Janis Joplin had some issues and things. But Jimi Hendrix, by all accounts, was like this lovely, gentle guy who just loved playing guitar. And I'm going to say something kind of radical now. So this is going to be a hot take. Put up an alert. I love a lot of guitar players, but I don't think they all age really well sound wise. And I think Hendrix is one of those guitarists that just feels eternal. When you hear Hendrix, it's Hendrix. And yeah, it definitely ties in with psychedelia and all that, what they used to call acid rock 100 years ago. But it doesn't sound dated to me. It sounds iconic. And some of the 80s guitarists, like even Eddie Van Halen, to me, great guitarist, but he just sounds so dated. It just sounds, I don't know, to me, it just sounds kind of funny, like noisy, in a way that someone like Peter Green doesn't, or Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page sounds iconic. Keith Richards, all these guys. But then you get into the 80s and the heavy metal guys, and they're, brilliant. Yngwie Malmsteen's brilliant. Eddie Van Halen. Of course, Randy Rhoads. But they sound dated. They just sound too tied to their era, in my opinion. That's my hot take. But you know what? I don't need to put 80s guitarists down to build Hendrix up. Hendrix is lovely either way. Wolf loves the SD Oversize. It's a great pen. So true. Such a great pen. Oh, Ben Joe's going to Atlas on Tuesday next week. Traveling to Chicago for work. Do tell Brendan that I said hello. Brendan's a lovely guy, and he's going to be on this channel November 15th. Two guys talking pens. And I don't know if you've seen me go live on TikTok, but Brendan and I can have a lot of really interesting, intense conversations about pens. So I think you guys will really enjoy that. There's a lot of back and forth and a lot of challenging questions. And he'll throw anything out. So he's a lot of fun to have a pen conversation with. By the way, guys, I'm going to throw this out to you. I really love a black ink that looks glossy on the page. I used to use J-Herbon, what is it, Pearl Night or something like that. You guys know what I mean, the black J-Herbon. And I used to use the Mont Blanc black. And now the only two blacks I have, true blacks, are Sailor Black and Namiki Black. And I like them, but they're a little bit flat on the page. And I'm looking for something that's a little bit more almost glossy. I don't know if that's possible. And the reason is that they sent me the Conway Stewart, and I'm working on the video now. I'm writing the script, hoping to have the voice track done this weekend, and I'm hoping to have an edit done by this time. Next weekend, I'd love to get something up for Black Friday, if I could, or thereabouts. So they tested it before they sent it. They put in a little bit of black ink, and I haven't written in black ink in a long time. And that pen, my God, that pen, you guys, that pen is incredible. I cannot wait to talk about it with you. But and the video, wait until you see the video. I have so many great ideas. But writing with it and seeing the black ink and I need suggestions. I really do. Let me know your favorite black inks in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, which I know a lot of you do, and I appreciate that. Please, in the comments, write your favorite black ink. Asking for a friend. So, Evan Otto's asking for some advice here. Recently fell off journaling. No, let me put this up. But I'm still in school and don't have much time during the day. Does anyone here have tips for getting back into it? Evan, I have a couple of tips. And, I was kind of hoping to talk a bit about journaling. I've been going on and on about pens. But hey, it's a pen show. That's what we do. So this might be a nice time to transition a little bit into talking about journaling, okay? So one of my favorite things about journaling is that no one need ever read it, so you're not under any obligation to be brilliant. You can write the most mundane things you can think of. If you're in school, talk about not what you learned because you have your notebooks for that, but talk about some of your social interactions. Talk about a certain idea you're working on and just describe your day. You'd be amazed what stands out. And you don't know what context your days are in until something changes. So at some point, you're going to look back on your college experience and you're going to have this fantastic resource that describes it. Even if it just says, today I went into the library and I studied chemistry. I don't know. And then I went through the books and I looked for ephemera within the pages. This is something I do, by the way. When I go into libraries, I pull the books down and I look for things that people leave within the books. Because there's amazing stuff. There's love letters, there's grocery lists, there's bills, there's incredible cursive. Sometimes there's calligraphy. Sometimes there's things you can't even figure out where it's cryptic and strange. It's so interesting. So maybe you did that. Years later, you're going to read whatever it was that you did, and you're going to have that time machine effect. It's going to take you back to that very moment where you were when you wrote it and who you were when you wrote it, and sometimes what you were smelling while you wrote it or listening to. It's a strange phenomenon with journals, but I pick up ones from 20 years ago and I'll read about a trip I took to Paris, and I'll remember that there were dried leaves crunching under my shoe when I wrote that very sentence. It all comes back. That is amazing. And sometimes it's the most mundane stuff, but you remember because those words are etched somewhere in the vault of your mind. So just do the best you can. That's my advice. So one of the things I've been thinking about, we talked about this a few weeks ago about journaling, and it was like the headline is, and I almost made it the headline for this live, is, can you journal your way out of trauma? Just a big question, right? And I think the answer is no. Yes and no. I think it helps, but I think you need other coping mechanisms. But what journaling does is it helps you to sift through the voices in your head. And I don't mean, hallucinations, or I mean the voices of self-doubt, the inner critic that's pulling you back, the anxieties, the voice of no that's in your head, or the negative you can't voice in your head. A journal helps you to write those down. As a matter of fact, here's your advice, Evan. Write those things down, the things that are holding you back. Then you can sort through what is good advice that your consciousness is giving you and what is self-sabotage. And that's very powerful. And how you see that is if that voice learns from cause and effect. So if you had anxiety about something and something told you to do one thing and another inner voice told you to do another, you're able to sort it by what the effect was. So nothing happened, but you're still negative and you're still holding yourself back. Discount that voice and lean more toward the positive, self supporting voices. That's what journaling can do. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but sometimes things make sense to me in my head and I try to articulate them and they're gone. But I think there's a lot of power in that when you can discern these things. Oh, Kaylee said Pearl Noir. Yeah. That's exactly it. Thank you. I am way off on mine. I missed a lot of your comments. I got stuck way back. So Patrick left. Probably too late to say goodbye, but he's gone. So let me see. Simon Krupa asked a very important question. Which pen did I use to fill out my ballot? I used a rollerball, a Waterman Expert rollerball with a Pilot G2 insert. That's what I used. Believe it or not. One of those times when I did. So good stuff. I'm seeing. Oh man, this is I see some guitar talk here. So you guys don't know this, but I am a huge Mark Knopfler fan. He is one of my favorite guitarists. Yeah, he's not the best singer, but Sultans of Swing is so perfect. I play a little of it, um, but like just a little. I need to learn the rest of it. But I love his Stratocaster tone. I love Brothers in Arms too. He uses Les Paul to play that, and it's very soulful, very, very, very beautiful. So that's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff, my friends. I see a lot of love for the M100. Excuse me, M1000. Oh, Wolf had her M1000 at the show. I should have borrowed it from you. You were holding out on me. I was kind of all over the place at the show too. I tried to stay focused, but there was so much I was trying to see, do, accomplish, and plus I was filming, so there was a lot going on there. But it was a great day, great day. So really good stuff. So I think one of the other great things about journaling is that you kind of earn the right to outgrow things. So you can look back and wince a little and then realize that you've grown as a person. And I think that is wonderful too, because you can measure who you are from who you were in a way that is difficult otherwise. You might be able to do it physically with photographs, but journals are the topography of your emotions and your mind. And sometimes when you get an insight into your own mind, you're amazed that you held a certain belief 10, 15 years ago that you've since, I'll say outgrown, but that's not necessarily the dynamic. Sometimes you've reevaluated or more information has come to you or you're just in a different place. But old ideas can feel very, very foreign to you after time. And I think that's a really strong function of journals. You know, as you guys know, right behind me, I have like 20 years. I'm about to start a new one. It's going to be this one next. I'll show you guys. This will be my next journal. I'll be lugging this around. I can't wait. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's from Bottega Obscura. I almost said the name of a fashion house. It's Bottega Obscura on Etsy. Absolutely gorgeous journal. Nice edged pages. Beautiful work. Nice end pages. Just everything is really gorgeous. Of course, a hunk of leather for the bookmark. So super fun. This will be fun. Can't wait. And then after that, I have this one. Nice marble pages. And Ouroboros on the cover with my initials. That one has my initials on the binding, which is super fun. And this one has bright pages, which will be really nice. We'll get some nice ink in here. Nice heavy bright pages. So gorgeous stuff. So we're pretty set for journals for a while, guys. Super excited about that. So journaling is very important to me. We got pens, we have journals, we have some fun stuff coming up on the channel. We're going to have the Conway Stewart review going up very soon. I'm working on it now. I'm writing the script, and we'll have that up for you. I wish I knew which one is coming on Thursday. I'm going to try to take a quick look if I can figure it out. They don't show sequentially in my queue, but sometimes I can figure it out. Oh no, it's not the one I thought, but it's kind of a fun one. So guys, I have a very straightforward episode coming up on Thursday. It's me organizing my pen collection. So it's probably the most traditional episode I've done in like 6 months. It's more straightforward. It's kind of what I have criticized other channels for. It's my hands moving stuff around while I'm talking. But I just thought it'd be fun, and I thought it would be valuable because it has like 90% of my collection. There are some that are at my office and whatnot, but it's good and they're organized. I don't go through every one, but I kind of do the cursory. So I think you guys will like it. It's a lot of fun. I debated doing it as a Hemingway Jones Presents rather than the main channel, but I felt because of its length and its breadth that it deserved the full channel treatment. So let me know what you think. I think you guys will like it. So Evan Otto uses a cheap journal from CVS. Nothing wrong with that. There's some great ones out there. Even Barnes and Nobles has some good ones. Ooh, Brett is suggesting Quink Black and Visconti Black. Well, if I buy the Homo Sapiens, maybe I'll get the black ink to go with it. So that's a very good suggestion. Thank you. Very, very good. So I'm wondering when my Flex Nib goes up on the 17th. So look for that. The Esterbrook Flex. I think you guys will get a kick out of that. So once again, I want to say that we have membership for the channel available if you'd like to join. There's a lot of great bonuses in being a member, a lot of fun exclusive content. I put bloopers up. I've been doing random readings from my journals. And sometimes I just challenge myself. I'll just put a finger down and read. So it can be a lot of fun. So that's up. Occasionally there's some B-roll that I put up that I think you guys would be interested in. So there's that. There's Instagram too, where I tend to be a little different on Instagram. I do a pen check every day, which pen I'm using. Try to take a nice picture really quickly. That's at Hemingway_Jones on Instagram. So that's a lot of fun. Sometimes over there I'll put up B-roll or something different too. So don't miss that as well. So pretty good stuff. Oh, let me see. This is a good question, guys. So Jonathan has $9 to add to my Goulet basket to get free shipping. What ink or paper should I grab? How about one of they have their own brand notebook that has 68 grams per square meter Tomoe River paper in it. I think it's around, is it $8? No, I think it's like $12. But awesome. It's a really nice notebook. I would consider that. So good stuff. Let me see. BJ, I've recently started collecting pens. Can you help me understand the pros and cons of a cartridge versus a piston pen? I can briefly, yes. And we talk about this a lot. And I've been talking about it a lot on StrideWise, where I post my articles. So, personally, I love an integrated internal piston pen. There are some great ones. There's most Pelicans are set up that way. Most Twisbys, not the VAC, of course, or the Go, but there's something elegant about having an internal reservoir that's part of the pen with a piston that fills it very expeditiously, and then the ink. I feel like the ink flows better when it's coming right from a pen. Those are the pros. So it's integrated, it's beautiful, it holds a lot of ink, and it fills easily. But a converter or cartridge, the converter is similar to a piston fill but smaller. And a cartridge, of course, is disposable, which I don't like. I don't like disposable stuff. Most of my cartridges, I keep refilling them with an ink syringe. But here's the bad thing about a piston fill. If it should ever break or wear out, a Twisby you can fix yourself, but most of them need to go back somewhere. So a trip to the pen hospital or back to the manufacturer. So that is an issue, guys. So I think for me that's the biggest thing. I used to be really down on converter pens and cartridge pens until I realized if there's an issue, it's so easy. My cross apogee was leaking out the cartridge. I threw the cartridge away, had a really hard time. It had a proprietary cartridge. I had such a hard time finding one that would fit. And I found it. And you know what? I haven't tried it since, but I will one day. Um, so that's easier than having a fix. So Brett Cody is thinking of joining us behind the curtain. That would be wonderful. So always good to have you, my friend, around. So yeah, so I think that's probably the major thing for me is that I don't like cartridges because they're disposable, and I think part of the beauty of a fountain pen is that you can use ink from a bottle and have a little less of an impact on the environment, presumably. The piston fills, should something happen, you're looking at a repair. However, pen repairs aren't that bad. It's like $50 for most things. That's what I find for most things. So, so it's good stuff, guys. Very, very good stuff. So for me, I think my next pen is the Visconti Homo Sapiens. Another pen that's on my list is the Lamy 2000, which I don't own. I'm a little bit hesitant because I really don't like hooded nibs that much, but I love Lamy. I love the look of that thing. I kind of dig the mid-century vibe. So I just feel like it's probably something I'm going to do. So I'm super excited about that. And then other than that, I'm not sure I really have another pen that I'm crazy about. I think there's things I'm curious about, but that really covers me. I do like the glow in the dark Twisbies. Those are fun. Oh, and I should mention while we're talking about glow in the dark, it makes me think of Benu. And I am currently editing right now, it's almost done, a Benu review with some fun B-roll of magical fairies in an enchanted wood. So look for that in a couple weeks. I'm going to try to keep it interesting, guys. I don't want to bore you. I've seen some other pen content that's great. Seen some other pen content that's really boring. I think if I were to try to do what other people do, it'd be very, very boring. So I'm going to do my own thing and keep you guys entertained. That's really what I'm here to do, is to inspire you to write. That's the most important thing, to keep you inspired, entertained, educated, and thinking. If I can do those things and we can share it all together, this will be a very, very successful channel. So, Wolverine 3660 has hung with us the whole night. So happy. Good to see you back, my friend. So, Palmaster says, if I can try the Lamy 2000 person, that would be good. Fine and medium are very different. Yes, yeah, that's a good plan, and I probably should. I normally don't like fine pens, but lately I've been getting into them more. So we will see what I do. Wolf has the glow in the dark Twisbys and loves them. Also loves a Benu. She has a ton of pens. It sure sounds like it. I just need to, like, we need to meet up at a Starbucks so I can try some of these pens and figure out if I want to buy them or not. So you're like a one-person pen show, which is really fantastic. So very fun. Oh, Palmaster has both fine and medium in the Lamy 2000 and loves the medium. So I'm a big medium guy. I would probably go that direction. So very good. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we are at the end. My voice is starting to give out, and I don't want to disappoint you. So this was fantastic. I love the give and take we had on this episode. We're going to do this again. Next Tuesday, we're going to have Brendan from Atlas Stationers join us. So we will discuss pens, we'll take your comments, we'll take your questions, and we'll just have a lot of fun. So I think you guys will enjoy that. Once again, consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. I know half of you that watch my channel aren't subscribed. It really helps with a tiny channel like mine. If you would subscribe, I would appreciate it greatly. It would certainly help me. Simon Krupa is keeping me here with an interesting question. If I'm not a fan of hooded nibs, does that mean I don't like the Parker 51? Parker 51 is not my favorite pen, I'll be honest, or any of the other ones that are similar, like the 22 or the Hero. And the reason is I have trouble finding the edge. I can't see it. I have a hard time. I do love it and I respect it as a vintage pen. I love its Mad Men vibes, its mid-century feel. I feel like it's like something they would have used in the Kennedy White House. I love all of that about it. When I go to write with it, I have a really tough time finding the edge. So, CJ's giving me props for fairies on my Benu review that's coming up. I hope you guys like it. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fairies, a lot of interesting music. So I hope you like it. So, oh, nice. Evan, thank you. Evan says loves Alive. Feels like he's talking to a good friend. It's because you are. I feel really close to you guys, and I appreciate it. We talk a lot in the comments. Some of you have joined the channel. We talk a lot there. And this channel means a lot to me, guys. If you've seen my video where I defend writing in cursive, a little bit of clickbait there, I talk about how fountain pens have been very, very good to me. And part of it is that I have all this, and I have all of you. And this channel wouldn't be anything without you guys. Your feedback, I get ideas from you, your support. I certainly don't get much support from YouTube, so it's all you guys that keep me going. So it means a lot to me, and I want to thank each and every one of you. And, it just means the world. You guys are carrying this channel, so thank you for that. Okay, I'm all sentimental tonight. But this is lovely. We'll meet again very soon. We have a new video coming out tomorrow at noon. So I'd appreciate it if you guys could check that out as well. So as I like to say, we'll see each other again very soon further up the road. Take care, all of you. And we'll see you.